Hello everyone, welcome to another Random Talk Sunday. Apologize this video has to be delayed. Unfortunately, I was pretty busy over the weekend, but I should be caught up by the end of the day as of Monday. So without further ado, for this particular Random Talk Sunday, I wanted to briefly address the film that came out recently and that I had the privilege of seeing in theaters, Deadpool. Yes, this is one of the big fan films that I think people were waiting for. I think both critically and as far as audiences are concerned, this was a hit. And I think it's definitely safe to say why. And I thought it'd be interesting to kind of dive into my thoughts on this particular film for this random talk. Uh, so, uh, as far as Deadpool is concerned, if you are familiar with X-Men, um, then this film will probably be easy for you to understand and follow. Um, However, if you are totally new to the whole universe, I believe it's Marvel, if I'm not mistaken, uh, you will probably have a difficult time understanding certain jokes and certain bits and pieces because uh, this is designed to be kind of, I think, more of a fan film and a fan, maybe even series of films, as they somewhat maybe allude to within the film itself, that this is going to have a sort of series of films just focusing on Deadpool. Um, so I would definitely say, like, if you just look a little bit, or at least understand a little bit of what the X-Men is about, even you'll I think understand this film perfectly fine. But if you're kind of new to the whole uh, comic book craze, um, I would suggest kind of just looking into it a little bit beforehand, just so that you understand where Deadpool kind of plays into all of this. Initially, I sort of knew where Deadpool was supposed to be, or at least what he was supposed to be as far as a character is concerned. But I didn't know a huge amount, but I think just knowing a little bit of background will really help you kind of understand the film. Because the film in and of itself is pretty wacky, and it can be difficult for people to kind of understand the way in which this film is formatted because of the character of Deadpool himself. Um, but basically, Ryan Reynolds is the star of this film. He plays Deadpool. And what's great about this film is not only is it a revenge story like some comic books are, and comic book movies are, but it's also an origin story as well. So you kind of tie in this interesting blend of, you know, seeing where Deadpool sort of came from as a character, or at least how he became the character of Deadpool, or the person that became the character of Deadpool, and then sort of after um, that, and what this ultimately ends up leading, uh, at least to Deadpool taking revenge on the nemesis within the film. Um, Now, what I think actually works to this film's advantage is the fact that it really does know what it is. It is a fan film. It is a film sort of designed to, again, not take itself too seriously. It's sort of making fun of itself and also kind of poking fun at the cliche aspects that we oftentimes see within comic books. Um, which again, I think you can't really fault the films for really honing in on these cliches because they're so heavily present within comic books. It's almost like stripping away the entire story. If you take away all of the things that are really sort of part of the comic book sort of lore. Again, I like how it really plays into that tone though of Deadpool, which really I think is something that the fans really wanted and which it really does provide. And there's a lot of breaking the fourth wall where, Deadpool will be kind of just talking to the audience. And it's really funny because you don't see that in a comic book uh, movie or even in a comic book character, really. you don't see that angle being taken. And the fact that Deadpool is really kind of the only character that really does it, at least from what I can tell, um, it's actually really refreshing. And, he points out the ridiculousness. And, he even kind of laughs at himself, and, he has this just kind of really great personality. And that's really what drives the film so effectively, is the fact that you really want to be around this character, because he is just so out of the box and just the way he thinks, um, compared to a lot of other superheroes, especially superheroes that are like, at least that I find to be like super bland. Deadpool is a real breath of fresh air. um, what's also great too about this film is that it has a also at least good character dynamics. Deadpool plays off fairly well with the X-Men characters that are in this film, and he also plays off well with the love interest that he ends up developing a relationship with, um, which again is kind of quirky and raunchy, but at the same time, it works to the film's advantage because the characters, at least the way in which they interact, you can sort of tell that there is that genuine chemistry behind it. Um, you know, because they have that interesting quirk, or at least quirks to them, that make them sort of kind of connect and sort of have a good time bonding with one another. And I think, again, this is something that we don't really see too often, from a lot of these kinds of even superhero films. I find the chemistry a lot of the times off between the leads and the soup or the lead female and then the superhero. But here you feel like there is some interesting dynamics going on, especially within the way that they talk with each other. And um, it's sort of nice to see that kind of being showcased within this film. Um, Instead of it being fairly awkward and strange, because I think a lot of comic book movies really do make the love relationship really just awkward and uncomfortable, and the characters are very shy, but here with Deadpool and the love interest, they're very just out there and very expressive of themselves, and they just feel so comfortable. There's a certain level of genuineness to that comfort, I think, that again, you don't see a lot of the times in a lot of these comic book films. Usually the love connection is very awkward and kind of just or just it just feels like there's some kind of tension barrier. But here, it's just full balls off the wall, and it's great. Um, Even though the plot within it of itself isn't as, again, unique of a superhero story, um, what really works is the sort of the journey, because the way in which Deadpool sort of expresses the journey and the way in which they describe the origin all the way leading up to sort of the whole kind of climax and revenge aspect of the film is really what I think works and what really ultimately sells the film and actually makes it really stand out. Um, and I find that to be, again, very refreshing. It's very nice to see it. And it's, I think, about time that we did get these more, I think, interesting sort of superheroes. They have so many Superman films now, and that sometimes and now they're even planning to relaunch, Spider-Man. I mean, it's just so nice to just see a standalone superhero movie again, that is different. And that's what I think a lot of people were waiting for. We're really psyched for, because it's just so annoying to see the same superheroes done time and time again, and especially to see groups of the superheroes, so you don't really get a real sense of the personal struggle of one superhero, because everything is supposed to bounce off each other, and it gets very complicated and everything is very rushed. um, Whereas with here, and especially a film that's like Deadpool is you can really get invested into the character and at the same time create something completely unique and kind of out of the box from it because he is such an out of the box character. And I can understand why there's a lot of people that really enjoy him as a superhero. Um, and uh, I think, though, that's really all I can say about this film without really giving too much away. And is it a little bit too raunchy for some people, and is it maybe a little bit too graphic for some people? Yes, I understand that completely. For me, though, it works. Like, I am just glad that they went for the R rating, only because only because again, there's a lot of superhero films that try to be very clean and they don't try to, they have this kind of safe box that they like to stay in, and they just kind of, you know, kind of, you know, kind of have that code. Uh, and with Deadpool, he just does whatever the heck he wants. And I think that's just great. And is what again makes him stand out. And I like the fact that he doesn't want to join the X-Men club and how he just wants to do his own thing. And he ultimately does, in the end of the day, do what he thinks is right, even if it goes against maybe a certain moral code that a lot of the other superheroes follow. And again, you can obviously question, Deadpool's morals and what he really does is, um, really ethical or not. But I like the idea that he's pushing the envelope a bit. And I think that's what a lot of superheroes end up falling in the trap of is they have this very set, strict code of ethics and morals, or they're and as a result, I think there's a certain amount of blandness that comes with that. Um, and just to see a superhero step outside of that box and almost kind of have that more of an anti-hero feel is again something that we don't see all too often. And so I think overall this film was a really nice breath of fresh air. Is it free from problems? Oh, absolutely not. But at the same time, um, it's it's really a big fresh breath of fresh air because I'm just so tired of seeing the same exact generic superheroes over and over again. And I'm so tired of seeing the same, trying to set up a league of superheroes, and then we lose the whole aspect of focusing on one particular superhero and their struggle or whatever, and we lose all of the sense of fun and uniqueness that comes along with that. And it's just nice to see. Again, I hope that there's more superheroes out there. Uh, that get sort of made and put into the spotlight, um, that haven't been really explored or utilized all that much. I hope that Deadpool, at least what it's trying to do with the films later on, is that it keeps its uh, style and at the same time tries to maybe even expand on it because there's maybe some interesting stories that can be pulled from Deadpool. Obviously, again, I think the plot is not as unique, but again, it's sort of the journey and the way in which Deadpool sort of ultimately expresses his whole life story, I think is really what ultimately makes it the more grander and the more interesting. Um, but that's just my honest thoughts, though. I'd be more than happy to hear what anybody else has to say and what they've personally thought about Deadpool if they've seen it. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a pleasant day, week, month, and year, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Take care.